It's been really well established that online education focused on English with successful outcomes really leads to better life outcomes, regardless of where you go in life. And you're focused, Britt, on making that a reality through technology. How does the Homer solution really bring early childhood into quality reading?
Developing a program that is based around a child's interests is really key to its success. And so we've developed a personalized learning pathway based around your child's interests to have the most effective outcomes.
You know, personalization is something that people always talk about as being one of the benefits of algorithmic solutions to things. But personalization requires some really quality inputs. And how do you work through what's going to work for a given child?
So in the sign-up process, the parent chooses interests and also answers questions about the child's reading level that then develops this personalized pathway that puts the child at the right spot for where they are today to learn how to read. After we developed this program, we did a double-blind randomized study independently with the former Assistant Secretary of Education. And her conclusion, her results, and this is a published study, that Homer improved child's reading scores by 74% after 6 weeks of use relative to those that didn't use Homer. And you know, I really attribute this not just to sort of the interest piece, which is there to build intrinsic motivation to reading, but also our scope and sequence and how the program is put together. You can't support the top without building out the bottom, and so in learning to read, this looks like being able to identify letters, then being able to sound out letters, then being able to sound out letters in a sequence, which is a word, and then being able to sound out words in a sentence, and then being able to comprehend what that sentence means.
Well, that underlying infrastructure work manifests itself in Homer reading and Homer stories, which you're bringing into the forefront now. These are targeted at making the end outcomes much more interactive. And how does that help the students improve their reading that much faster?
So we think about engagement and comprehension as being, two things that need to go hand in hand.
Okay.
And so interests are a big part of the engagement, the sort of interactive elements and the sort of surprise and delight of the program are a big part of the engagement. But we spend quite a bit of time during the product development process focusing on comprehension and focusing on that there's not anything on the screen that's distracting the child from learning the thing that we're teaching them at that moment.
And screen time is a big topic for parents everywhere. Too much screen time can be detrimental to learning, to being better socially adjusted. There's lots of studies out there that suggest that could be a reality. What's the Homer perspective on this issue? We
want to be the good screen time and the screen time that creates strong learning outcomes inside of that small percentage of the day that the child's going to be using our program. But we also think about in the design of the product, like how can we design a product that triggers interest in offline experiences.
Okay.
And so that's, again, comes back to why interests are such a strong foundation to our product, that if a child...
that key of comprehension and retention.
Right.
Yeah.
It's both for comprehension in the product, but also a child discovering interests in Homer stories, something new that they didn't know that they liked, which is happening every day at this age, can trigger the child going to their parent and talking about that and experiencing that in some way in the real world.
What do you think about gamification of all the different online education tools that are out there, especially in this early childhood example? People always think that gamification with a reward system is going to lead to better outcomes, but that's not necessarily true.
Strong extrinsic motivation is not healthy and not helpful at this stage. So in our interactive stories, how when a child hears a page of a story and then gets to interact with that story, sort of what is going to happen, is potentially unexpected and our hope is delightful to that child. And so that's the kind of gamification that we focus on.